Hello everyone, and welcome to another TI9 team preview. This one is going to be covering the TI7 champion, Team Liquid. Whether it was the post-TI blues, competitive exhaustion, or just a simple lack of practice, Team Liquid's DPC season started off very slow. Fans were pleasantly surprised that despite being unable to defend their TI title, placing 4th at TI8, Liquid kept the roster together. The roster was not without turmoil, however, as the team failed to qualify for the first major of the season, and then opted to not even attempt to play their way in through the minor. When it was announced that Miracle would be missing the second major of the season for personal reasons, there was definitely some worried discussion among the Liquid faithful about the future of the team. Still, even with a last-minute stand-in not fluent in English, Liquid managed to take 8th place at the Chinese major. The reignited optimism quickly faded, however, when Liquid dropped out of the third major of the season, tied for last place, and more than halfway through the season, sat well below the TI qualifying threshold for DPC points. This looked like a rusty and tired Liquid, one who might have finally been figured out by the other top teams. It certainly felt like a different team than the one that had won TI7 and taken 4th at TI8. Miracle was now almost exclusively a safe lane player, and Matumba Man, once one of the premier carries in Dota 2, seemed almost exclusively relegated to scrounging out farm in poor matchups and with an odd and restrictive set of mid-heroes. But that's just how the meta goes sometimes. And it's not like the execution wasn't still mostly there. The talent was obviously still on the roster. However, Dota is a very complex game that requires a well-rounded level of excellence to be the top dog, and it became clear that Liquid could no longer compete with the likes of Team Secret at the MDL Major. Despite a second place finish, it was a rocky road to get there, as Liquid lost their very first main stage match to an Evil Geniuses team that had rarely given them trouble in the past and had to grind their way through the lower bracket. It was a sign of life for Team Liquid, and it secured them an invite to TI, but the feeling must have been bittersweet for the team, as they announced a change of roster shortly after the tournament. Matumba Man out, and Weehaw in, ending the longest running and possibly most successful roster in Dota 2's history. The addition of Weehaw adds both a bit of dynamism, but also a dilemma for the team. He provides them with a much more traditional set of mid-heroes, and still has plenty of pocket picks such as the Meepo, but they do lose the Broodmother from Matumba Man, and they also lose his stability in that mid-role. Weehaw is a player who is known for feast or famine plays, and while those are the types of plays that can certainly win you games, they can also lose you them. It's definitely not all bad though, and Weehaw has been touted by many to be a great teammate. And that's what Kuroki's looking for, somebody to buy into his vision. The added versatility of a true mid player also allows a much wider range of strategies when they're trying to empower Miracle, who still remains the cornerstone for everything Liquid tries to do. If the Epicenter Major to close out the DPC season was any indication, this is a Team Liquid roster with a lot of potential, and despite the concerns with Weehaw's hero pool, there was definitely a new energy around the team and plenty of room to grow as well. It will be interesting to see how the meta changes throughout the course of TI, as Kuroki has always been a strategist who likes to come up with 2 or 3 main strategies and run them to death until they're figured out. And I think the addition of Weehaw actually helps this out quite a bit, because there is a fairly significant overlap in terms of hero pool between him and Miracle. So in the past, a hero like Templar Assassin, which Weehaw has been playing a lot of in pubs, would almost always be played by Miracle when Matumba Man was still on the team. And this could definitely open up the drafting phase for Kuroki and allow him a bit more opportunity to outdraft opponents. Diving a little bit deeper into the pubs of the players, we can see that Miracle is trying out a bunch of different heroes, playing the ones he's great at. There's going to be a bunch of safe lane Alchemist unless it's banned out. He even experimented a little bit with some safe lane Treant, though I don't think that one will make it into the top level of Kuroki's strategy list. GH continues to present a very consistent and excellent position for hero pool, the Rubiks, the Earthshakers, Earth Spirits, and Magnuses. Weehaw has been playing a ton of pubs and a ton of different heroes, and it will be really interesting to see which of those actually make it into his hero pool at the main event. I think the X factor for this team is actually mind control, because when he has good games, Team Liquid wins, and he is one of the rare offlaners that can actually carry games in that role. And there's quite a few classic mind control heroes that are starting to come back into the meta and have been buffed pretty heavily in the recent patches. Nature's Prophet, Enchantress, and Beastmaster come to mind. It's been somewhat of a disappointing season for Team Liquid, and they enter TI not as the favorites this time around. But without that added pressure and with the addition of a little new blood to the roster, this could be the year that we finally get our first, and actually our first 4 two-time TI champions.